What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to talk about stocks and bonds, okay? I'm going to explain it in such a way that anyone could understand. We fear the things that we don't understand. So many of the people in my community specifically don't want to get involved with the stock market and investing simply because they don't understand it. And so when you don't have the education, you fear said thing and then you avoid said thing. So my goal is to enlighten you, to educate you so that you can go forth and make good decisions for your future based off of new knowledge, okay? Let's get into it.
Cerebral flow in my head I go. Try reach me now but my cell line slow. I keep it low, it's like where I go. Try teach me how but I said I know. People know me like you like hope and I need to know premise when I show. I collect my dough, do my thing and go.
Okay, let's start with stocks. So stock is a portion of a company. When you invest in a stock, when you buy stocks, you are buying a portion of the company. So let's say in your neighborhood, James down the street, okay, he comes to you, he say, listen, I got this business, it's going pretty good, okay, would you like to invest in it and become a partner? What that means is you give me a little bit of money, you invest money into this company. With the money that you invest, I'll buy more t-shirts, I'll do more advertising, I'll do the marketing, like, whatever, I'll do all the work. But when I make money, I'll pay you money. And you're like, I got some money laying around. I believe in your business. I can spare a little change. So you give him a little bit. And so James goes out. He does the things he needs to do. This business is making money. When the business is making money, every quarter, every few months, you get a check in the mail. It's from James saying, thank you. Here's your portion off the one you gave me. So, if you gave him $500, maybe every quarter he sends you $5. If you had given him $5,000, then maybe every check you get in the mail from him is $500. You get what I'm saying? So the more money you give him, the more money he's going to give you back when he does big. But on the reverse hand, and maybe James isn't the best business owner, or maybe James got involved in some political nonsense and now his company is losing money. Well, so are you. So now when a few months go by, you're like, James, where my money at? And James like, we ain't made no money, sorry. So that's kind of what stocks are. You're taking a risk with the company. And this is why it's important to invest in companies you believe in. So had you already known James and James came to you and was like, I'm on this business, I'm doing this, and you already know he full of it, you already know James not the best business owner, you already know people hate James, you're not going to give James your money, right? But if you know James is a hardworking individual, he's very ambitious, he's likable, he's charismatic, he got your head on his shoulders, then maybe you're like, okay, I'll give some money to James because I really believe James can help my money grow, okay? So that's what it is. When you invest in stocks, you are owning some of that company. There are a couple of ways you can do this. So in the US specifically, we have a total stock market. So something like the S&P 500. Now that 500 means 500 stocks. So this is someone that is managing 500 of the best performing stocks around the world. They're doing that work for you. So instead of you having to go out and find individual companies that you believe in, that you like, you can just go to someone else. So let's say you got another friend on the block. Let's call her Jessica. Okay, Jessica is the business lady. Jessica knows all the businesses happening in your neighborhood. She knows who's doing well. She knows who's not. Okay, Jessica's already invested. Everyone comes to her to get some money to invest in their company, right? So Jessica, she knows everything, okay? So alternatively, you could go straight to Jessica and say, hey, what companies are you invested in? What companies do you own? Do you own a little bit of, right? Because that's what stocks are, right? It's a small ownership of a company. So you can go to her and say, how many companies do you own a little bit of? And she could be like, I got a list of 500 right here that's doing pretty well. And then when there's one that's not doing that well, I kick him out and I replace him with another one that's doing good. Her whole job is to go around and keep up with the good companies and get rid of the bad ones, okay? So maybe you go to her and say, well, shoot, let me just get in on what you getting in, okay? Let me own what you own. So she'll say, okay, well, here's my list of companies I'm invested in. if you give me your $500, I'll just invest a little bit of that money in all of these 500, and then you too will own a little bit of those. You're like, okay, cool, Jessica, bet. Okay, so she does that for you. So now when a company is doing poorly, you don't have to worry about that because you know Jessica is going to kick them out and replace them with someone good. So this is kind of a safer way of making sure that your money is going to grow. You don't have to worry about what's happening on the political end, what's happening on a personal end. This person is making sure all that money is going to grow over time, essentially. Now, even though she's your homegirl, she's not gonna do it for free, so she might charge you a very, very low percentage, though, maybe like a 0.04% of whatever money you give her to do that work for you. Okay, but you're like, I mean, that's not really that much money when compared to how much money you could make, so you're okay with that. Okay, so that is what it would be like to invest in something like the S&P 500. You're essentially giving someone a small percentage of your money to just ensure your money is going to grow with the best companies in the world. Okay. On the other hand, if you didn't want to deal with that and you trusted yourself and you just wanted to invest in the companies that you believe in, then you could purchase individual stocks. Okay. So you already invested in James. Now you can go and invest in Brian. Now you can go and invest in Jamal. Now you can go, so now you're doing the legwork to go around and figure out what companies you believe in, what people you want to support, etc., etc. I would recommend doing both, okay? Spend a small amount of money to have someone build a good portfolio for you, and then also go and invest a little bit in your own stocks and the things that you believe in and the people that you care for, because in that 500 list that Jessica has, she don't really care what those CEOs believe in, what they stand for. She just care about who's making money. And maybe you, on a moral stance, maybe there are certain companies you don't want to be involved in, but you have no choice to be involved in it because you bought the same portfolio that she created for you. So this is where you can use the opportunity to be like, okay, I'll give them a little bit of my money, but I'll put more of my money into companies I actually believe in. Okay, so all in all, that is kind of how stocks work. Hope that made sense. Let's get into bonds. Now, bonds are a loan. Okay, so let's say let's go back to James. Instead of James coming to you and asking you to be a part of his company, instead he comes to you, he says, hey, I got this business, I'm doing pretty well with it, I just need a little extra money. Can I borrow $1,000 from you and I'll pay you back in 5 years? And you're like, what the hell, James? I don't know if I said it on YouTube. What the H, James? You can pay me back in 5 years? And James like, wait a second. You didn't even let me finish. Let me explain what I'm going to do for you, though, in the meantime. So you're like, okay, my bad. I did kind of pop off there. What you going to do for me, James? James says, yes, I'll pay you back your $1,000 in 5 years, but every year until then, I'll pay you $100 interest on that $1,000, just, for good faith. And so you think about this, like, okay, if you pay me $100 a year, that's $500 in 5 years, plus my initial $1,000 that I gave you. And then James like, yeah. So then you say to him, like, so basically in 5 years, you would have given me $1,500, even though I'm only giving you $1,000 right now. And James like, exactly. I'm giving you a little bit more for allowing me to hold on to this money for 5 years. You're like, bet, okay, again, I got $1,000 I can afford to give you right now, so sure, I'll see you in 5 years. Want my money, my $1,500, and James like, bet. Okay, so that's what a bond is. It's these governments, companies, whatever, asking the public to allow them to borrow their money, and then in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20, sometimes even 30 years, they're saying, I'll pay you that back, but I'll pay you some interest on that throughout that entire time period. That can be to 10%, that can be 2%. So you kind of have to read the details there before you buy to decide if you feel like that's a good investment for you. Okay, so that is what bonds are. And then just like total stock, you can have total bonds. So then after you leave that conversation with James, you go over to Jessica. You're like, hey, I talked to my boy James again. I heard you do total stock holds. Do you do total bonds as well? And she's like, absolutely. So again, she's been doing her work. She got a list of all these companies that need money from the public in a portfolio. So same, she gives you the same deal. You give me 0.04% of whatever money you invest. I'll make sure that we're investing in the best companies and we got the best interest rates. So you could go that route as well. Or same with the stocks, you can just individually pick what companies you want to lend your money to. That might seem a little safer than stocks, but let me back that up for you. Let me kind of burst your little inspiration bubble. They also can default on their loans. So maybe 3 years into that 5-year loan period that James gave you, his whole company goes bankrupt. You ain't never getting that money back. I mean, sorry. So it's just, so there's a risk there. Like the companies can default on their loans if they go bankrupt. Now, the good part about that is when a company goes bankrupt, the first people to get hit are their stockholders. Okay? Because when you agree to be a part of this company, you agreed on the good and bad. So when they go bankrupt, they have no interest in paying you back. Okay, they're first going to try to pay back the people that they owe money to. They're going to try to cover their debt first. But if they don't have enough money to pay off their debt, then those people can get hurt too. See what I'm saying? So this is why stocks can be a little riskier than bonds, but bonds have their risk too. This is also why you will notice shareholders get so upset. Okay, so let's go back to our initial conversation with James. Okay, about you being a co-owner in this business by investing some of your money. Okay, now let's say let's say James's business, his target audience was originally for men, but he noticed women really liked his product. So 80% of his customers are women. Let's say, knowing this information, James now goes on public air, goes on Twitter, and talks about how much he dislikes women and how women should be doing this, women should be doing that. And guess what? Now no women want to buy James's product. So you being a stockholder, you're upset at James because you're like, why would you go out and say that? Now, 80% of our clientele is gone now. 80% of the profit we were making in this business is now gone because you made this stupid statement and now none of our women are buying here. You see what I'm saying? So this is also why companies, stockholders, other people in this realm have to be careful, tread lightly. It pays nothing to be a good person. So if you're a good person, this shouldn't even apply to you. But if you're not a good person, you should be careful about when you're exposing not being a good person if you don't want that to be hurt your business and hurt the people that are also invested in your business. This is also why you, as a part owner, so let's say you decide to individually invest in Apple. You really like Apple. Well, it will behoove you to talk well about Apple, to tell your friends, hey, buy Apple products, to go to work and talk about Apple because yes, even though you're not CEO of a company, you still own a little bit. So when they do well, that means your little bit is going to do well too. So when you think about this, any companies that you are invested in, you own. So navigate the world as if you do own this company because you do. So talk it up, spread it, get people to buy it, and et cetera, et cetera. It's also why I'll leave this video on this note that consumers have the power. Okay, these businesses would be nothing without your dollar. You hold more power than you think you do. So let me say one more thing before I leave you. Yes, now you understand stocks more and you understand bonds more, but you still might be thinking, why would I invest in either one of those? Okay, and here's why. When you think about your average CD, okay, certificate of deposit, when you think about your average savings account at your local bank, and when you think about your typical high yield savings account, the most return you're going to get on your money is 4 to 5%. Okay, but when you invest in bonds or stocks, you can get anywhere from 6. You can get anywhere from a 6% return up to an 11% return, and sometimes even higher. So you can just get more of your money back than you could by just playing it completely safe in a savings account. This isn't to disregard those savings accounts. This is why I believe in diversification. Think about that SpongeBob meme when he goes, imagination, okay? Diversification. I want you to have some money in a high yield savings account. I want you to have some money in a CD. I want you to have some money in stocks. I want you to have some money in bonds. Expand your stream of incomes, okay? Stop putting all your eggs in one basket. Please, please, please. You don't have to invest a lot. A little goes a long way. $5 a month. Start there. All right. So I'll say, I'll leave it alone. This video was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, but hey, I gotta make sure you know what's up. If you did like this video, you know what to do. Please give me that thumbs up. Share it with your people. I don't care if they're old, young, middle age. All your friends, family, share this video. Let them know this is how they can grow their money and get out of poverty, get out of the middle class. You know, we'll just leave it with that. The knowledge we gain is powerful, but it's the knowledge we share that makes a difference. So share, 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 and I'll see you in my next video. As always, don't forget to crush it. And disclaimer, I'm not a CPA. I'm not a financial advisor. This advice is from things I just read on my own accord. Knowledge I'm giving is knowledge I gained from reading books, from listening to people that are CPAs and financial advisors and taking notes on the things that, you know, they are teaching me. And it also came from experience because, again, nobody in my family has taught me these things. I had to teach myself. So through self-education, I'm now educating you, okay? But that's just a disclaimer. So I'm trying to come back here and be like, well, this, you told me to do this, and you're not even. I'm letting you know right now, not a CPA, just an educated individual. All right, bye.